I am welcoming Christa Thompson to It's Funny You Ask today. Christa, thanks for being here. I'm excited. Have you ever been on a podcast?
I have been on a couple. Yeah.
So you're like a pro at this.
Well, not exactly, but we'll do the Zoom thing is interesting.
Yeah, it is. It can get weird with like being careful to not talk over people and things like that. But it's been nice because I can like rapid fire interview people from wherever, and it's really cool. I love it. Because it would take forever for us to connect in real life.
Right. Everybody's schedules are crazy.
It is. All right. So you and I always like to talk about where we met. We met through makeup, but you knew my sister and are from the same small town. How do you guys know each other? I don't even know.
Right. So I did not grow up in Jessup. I grew up in Northwest Iowa, but my husband is from here. And so by various connections of Elizabeth Sadler and then your sister being involved with Lime Life. And so I attended, a couple of little like house parties and stuff like that. So then I became aware of you and started following you before you had any clue who I was.
Yeah, I mean, I did know you would comment on things and I'd be like, oh, she's really nice. Because you were one of the first people that like really that I didn't know, like outside of my warm market, somebody that I didn't know that was like just really appreciative of the things I was putting out there as a makeup artist. And like, you were like, wow, I'm learning things. And you were using the products I was recommending. And I was like, oh, this is how this works. Okay, I got it. So it was really good validation for me anyway.
Well, good. I felt like I was a grown-up finally learning how to put my makeup on.
So do you feel like your makeup game has changed that much?
Yes. Look at his eyebrows. That's always my favorite part. I'm like, this stuff will change your life. Ask Kendra how to do your eyebrows and then you will feel so much better.
Eyebrows are like, I always say, if your eyes are the windows to your soul, your eyebrows are the curtains. Like, take care of them.
Yep, absolutely.
It is true. So tell me a little bit about your life. So I know you live in a small town. I will probably make you talk about your turkey just a little bit because I know that was probably just a normal thing for your life, but the rest of us are like, what the hell? But besides the turkey, what goes on at home? Where do you live? All of that.
Yeah. So we live in Jessup, just off of Highway 20, a very small rural community. And my husband was born and raised here, his parents, his grandparents. So we moved here in 2012, I think. And so where we live is we're technically in town, but we have an acreage. We've got 4 acres of land. And so we are zoned agricultural. So yep, we've had a variety of different animals from cows to we hosted my mother-in-law's goats for a period of time. We've had ducks and chickens and we've had turkeys. And so yeah, so we've got lots of room for our kids to run around. Thankfully during COVID, that allowed us a lot of space to keep them preoccupied. And but we're still like 5-6 blocks from the school and on pavement, which is a priority for me.
That's so awesome. Well, yeah, and you kind of get like all the benefits of living in town, like with basically an in-town acreage. But yeah, I know you're right on the outskirts. So before we keep people in too much suspense about this damn turkey, okay, I have 2 questions. Remind me of his name, the turkey's name. Ralph the turkey. Okay. So being from, and some people don't, have different, if you subscribe to being like vegetarian or vegan, I totally like honor and respect that. But being from a small town in Iowa myself, that is not something I was ever exposed to. And, but I also have never like had a relationship with my food. I wasn't a 4-H girl or anything like that.
Right. And neither was I. I did not. I grew up in a smaller town than Jessup, like literally like 1,000 people. But we lived in town. We did not, I had really no relationship to the farming aspect or having animals that you would, raise for your family for food. So this was new for me too.
So Ralph the turkey, like you guys raised him from a baby for Thanksgiving and partly to educate your children on the whole like life circle of all that. But like this turkey like got a personality on social media.
Yeah, he definitely did. we had a group of actually, I think 3 or 4 turkeys, and then we had some ducks and different things as well. And unfortunately, because of where we live, we get fox and different things that come up, and so we lose a few animals here and there. And so he was the most resilient of all of them and survived through any of those attacks. And so anyhow, he was then hanging out mostly with our barn cats, and then developed a personality like he thought he was a cat. And so, yeah, he was around us all the time. He was not skittish of anything. He would walk around with us. If I was running around the backyard, he would run with me. He would, he would always be checking out what we were doing. You open the door and Ralph was right there with you. So he went in the front yard and he greeted everybody who walked by. It definitely, Ralph became a name that a lot of people were aware of.
Well, like everybody knew him in town. And if he went missing, like,
yes.
Didn't he go missing once or twice? And people were like, Ralph's on the loose.
Yep. Something drug him off of our property. We found feathers all over the front yard and down the road. And someone had reported him to our daughter. And so we went to find him, and yeah, he had bite marks in him, and survived that as well. And I referred to Ralph as a he, and Ralph ended up laying eggs. So Ralph was actually a she. But I couldn't change it at that point. So Ralph stayed Ralph.
No, I did not. I missed that episode. Well, and you really ended it hilariously toward the end. People were hashtagging Save Ralph from Thanksgiving. We made jokes about him possibly being the pardoned turkey from the president.
Right.
I saw, and then you did like video tributes.
With pictures. Yeah, because we could take pictures with him. We had put Ralph in different places. We put him in a little kid car. We gave him Busch Light because we live in Iowa. So we have been able to pose Ralph in so many different ways with the kids, with the cats, with just stuff around the acreage. And it became really, really funny, and people were just really seeming to enjoy it. And again, in a year like 2020, why not have some fun with it? We were absolutely doing this to, we've raised a calf to a cow before, and so our kids are very familiar with the life cycle process. They understand where food comes from. They were learning responsibility and caring for animals as well, and being respectful of them. And then, that chore aspect of, feeding and cleaning and things like that. So it really became something where we could find a little bit of normalcy, a little bit of learning. And then it was really funny for everybody else to be able to see how, like, Ralph would just hang out on the front porch and just watch people go by, or he'd look in the windows and see what we were doing, and he wanted to be around people. And so it was just this really unique experience with the turkey.
Yeah. And I think you taught all of us a lot too. I mean, I know a lot of people, as like the farming industry, it's never getting smaller, but the people that do it are less and less, because what they can produce is more and more. And, that raising your own food thing is, especially when it comes to animals, is, not incredibly common anymore.
Right.
So it was good. It was good education. And I loved it. I looked forward to those posts, and I don't know if you're going to like raise anything else, but I'm here for it. And I really kind of hope you misgender it again, because that's hilarious.
Because how do you tell? I don't know how to check, nor did I have desire to. So
yeah, I feel like that might be a Google search that would end badly. So careful.
Yeah, we won't go there.
Yeah. Careful. Okay. So, besides being a turkey raising mom of 2, and a wife, you're a business owner. And, so like, I feel like I have 2 very different relationships with you. Relationship 1 is like, you're a friend that purchases makeup from me, and you, are integrated into like an extended community that I have. And we'll kind of talk about that a little more, like with your fitness journey and stuff, because I think that's definitely worth talking about here. And then it's the one where you're the business owner, and you have, you've attended almost every U conference, I think.
This will be my fourth. So I've done 2 in person and then the 1 virtual. So
Okay, so close, like over half anyway. And then you have sponsored before when you were able to sponsor as a business owner, and you own, and I love talking about your business because you have debunked so many myths for me about your kind of business.
Yeah.
Okay, so you own the Amish Connection. It's an Amish furniture store, which I'm just going to say, and I know I've said this before, it won't be a surprise. I thought that was a bullshit marketing thing.
You're not the only one.
So I'm glad, well, what a hurdle to get over. Like, so I always thought, oh, they just like sell expensive furniture and tell us the Amish build it. So I know you came from the hotel industry to a furniture store. Can you explain like how you went from hospitality to business ownership? And okay.
Yeah. And I still give myself that look sometimes of like, how am I here? What is this? So my husband had worked at UPS as a supervisor for years and was friends with a gentleman who was actually a driver who he developed in, I want to say in like 97 was the Amish Connection. And so it's been around for a very long time. And so he had started this business after seeing another location, I want to say like Wisconsin or something, and seeing how that could be a really good market for Iowa. So he had started this business and ran it for several years, and then he's a real estate guy too. And so he was like, I'm ready to get out of this retail side of thing. It's operations can be heavy handed. So he was telling my husband he was going to be liquidating everything, consolidating all the locations into one. And I've been in the hospitality industry for, at that point in time, about 13 years, and was honestly getting burnt out and feeling like I had reached the peak of what was going to be possible for me with the company I was at. I had helped open 2 different properties. I had played interim GM for lots of our different hotels. And so I was traveling, and then I was in a mentorship program with the Hilton brand. I became an ambassador for them for other GMs to help them through various things, which was incredible. But then I was still trying to take care of my own hotel and my own people. And so I was being pulled in opposite directions and really loving parts of it and feeling held back by a lot of it. And then also, I mean, we've got 3 kids. And so it was like a high school student who's very, very active, and then 2 little boys. And so my time was super divided. Phone calls were coming in all the time. I mean, middle of the night, weekends, holidays, there's really, hotels don't close. Mm-hmm. You don't ever get to turn it off. The cell phone has always got to be there and available. There's always some kind of fire to put out. And it was weighing on our lives. It was weighing on my health. It was weighing on, just my overall mood and anxiety altogether. It was really hard. And my husband acknowledged it prior to me really coming to face it, and was looking honestly for a way out. That
Christa,
was
though, like, I've got to say, I mean, I know what it's like to open a business, but not to the scale that you've opened. I mean, a brick and mortar with inventory, furniture that is not cheap. You had to have been making really good money at the hotel, like with what you were doing.
Well, I was secure. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, I was definitely, I mean, my insurance was taken care of. I had, 401k plan. I had my salary was very nice. And that was my biggest concern, and trying to find something else to do that would keep us stable but allow me to leave. I've never been the type of person to jump into something without a safety net, a plan, some kind of backup. But it definitely came to a point where my husband was like, enough is enough. And our family and your health and mental status really need to come above this. So going into a store where we were taking over the business. We are taking over the current inventory, which was not ideal. And yeah, everything that is built by the Amish is all solid wood, but the variety and the options are endless. And we were taking on a business that was full of what most people would call their grandma's furniture. They would
that's what I was just going to say. I mean, that's what I think about. I think about that furniture that's been handed down and, you know, with the the ornate spindles and
yes,
you know, all of that. But yeah, so you had to do an inventory flip, I'm assuming, liquidate anyway, if you're going to get rid of that, because I have been in your store and the furniture is very modern and beautiful. And it is a little surprising.
yeah. And that's something where I want to show people is that Amish is not a specific style. It's purely quality, it's craftsmanship, and it is heirloom quality. And when people hear heirloom, definitely, like you said, they think about that furniture that's been passed on for generations. And we want to be able to do that moving forward, but it is not one style. It is not one wood. It's not a certain color. It's none of that. It is so diverse.
And yeah, really customizable. And you going into your store and learning that from you. My husband and I have had many conversations. Actually, I wanted to upgrade my own bedroom furniture recently, and I realized how stupid that is because it will only fit the size of bed I have right now, and I don't want this size of bed anymore. I would like to sleep on the other side of the county from my husband, frankly, sometimes. Okay. But we've said, you know, we want something that will keep forever, that our kids will like hand down to their kids and that kind of stuff, which I mean, sounds funny, but like you come to a place where that seems like a really wonderful adult thing. And the one thing I will say about the furniture that you probably don't even know is it's incredibly satisfying to touch.
Oh, yes.
It's so smooth. And I mean, all woods are, you know, different and some are more, but I remember there was one in there. I think it's like the set I really have my heart on. But I was like, that's so pretty.
Well, and that's always been my thing is I'm a touch person because I know that's how customers shop. And so the Amish put on their own expos where we can go and view new models for the year because they'll bring out new pieces and maybe new stains and different things like that. And so I'm constantly touching everything because you can have that appreciation. When you go into a store where the furniture is more your pressboard and veneer and things like that, it does not feel the same. And so when people come into the store, that's one of the first things they do. And you're feeling the solid wood, you're feeling the texture of the real grain, and then you're feeling that professional grade varnish. Everything has been sanded out perfectly. Everything has been finished just with so much passion and commitment to the quality. It is unbelievable. These people are incredible.
And yeah, it's like lost art. But you said, you know, you go the places you get that you know curate your collections from are from all over, so it's not just from one place. You have all of those connections, and I think it's really fascinating. A lot of people from Iowa know we have a large Amish community here, and a lot of Midwest states do, but you go all over the country, right? Or curate from all over the country. Is that
right? Primarily northern Indiana and Ohio. The bulk of Amish furniture is being built in Indiana, Ohio, and Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania is a bit of a stretch for us logistically because we try to do as much of our own trucking as possible. So yeah, so it's Ohio, there's little shipping companies that'll bring it into Indiana for me. So then we only have that route. But yeah, these communities, we work with 30 different builders and there's hundreds of builders. And they are all passing along to their kids. You know, we get to tour the workshops and you see their kids and their wives and the whole family is out in the workshop and they've all got a role. And then they're able to employ other people in their communities as well. So they're small business owners like we are.
Yeah. And you said that sometimes the communication can be a challenge because certain Amish, I mean, if people don't know, it just depends on the community. Right. Some Amish people that you work with will have cell phones and computers, and some do not subscribe to that. So there's has to be like creative ways to do it. And I mean, there's no rule for that. And I think it's cool to educate yourself on how other people live in different cultures and things like that. So you were really, I mean, even though I grew up around the Amish, I mean, I went to high school in Fairbank, Iowa, which, you know, I sped through the Amish community at 100 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Every weekend to get home before there's no cars on that road really.
Right. Well,
it was late. I promise. I wasn't speeding when the horses were out. I promise.
Yeah, of course. No.
Oh gosh, man, I don't know. thank God that some angel was watching over me in my teen years. I mean, for
Yeah.
real.
Oh, yes.
Okay. So I love that. And I love that you're educating people on that and giving that opportunity to the community, but it cannot be easy because it is not a walk in and shop and come home with the furniture kind of place. I mean, it's, it's not inexpensive. I mean, the quality and the value obviously are there, but I mean, you have this is not an easy retail market. Like
No.
I sell lipstick at a reasonable market price, like in the middle market price. I have it very easy. So you've gone ahead and learned retail the real hard way. Good job.
Real hard. Yeah. With no retail experience at all, no furniture background, nothing like that. And going into having to learn how to communicate with the builders for customization options, because most of the time it's like, okay, this is the table style I like, what size, what wood, what stain. And that's all, relatively easy to get across because those are within a standard set of options. But when we say, okay, I like this bedroom collection, but I only have enough room for the nightstands to be, 22 inches wide instead of 26. And I need to add this power switch on the back of it. And I want, all of these different things. So I have to communicate to the builder first before we can even talk about a price or make the sale. And when you want those sales being turned around as quickly as possible, that's not my life, and that is very scary and has been very interesting to navigate. And I do appreciate the communities that we work with that do allow for more technology, because I can send them photos and say, hey, this is what we're trying to accomplish, instead of trying to fax it to a delivery service that will drive around to the shops and give them to them whenever they can.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, but I suppose you have to do.
We do.
You have to seek out customers that appreciate the value that you have, that have the budget that to appreciate the value, and that also have the patience with the timeline.
Right.
Did COVID slow things down for you guys? I mean, I know probably the buying process slowed down as a lot of retail did, but like, tell me, did the process working with the Amish, did that slow down for you at all?
Yeah, it did. In fact, so since the builders that we work with are primarily further east, the restrictions that they've had out there have been a lot tighter. And so they were even closed. They were required to shelter in place completely. So we were shut down for about 6 weeks at our store, but our Amish were shut down for several months.
Ooh.
And so I've got some of them even now who are 12 to 14 weeks out with orders because they're still so far backed up. And there's logistical things like getting materials shipped in. Most of the wood that the Amish use are being shipped in from Pennsylvania. And then you've got, all of the hardware and mechanisms and things to make things work, that's got to come in from somewhere else. So if the manufacturing is slow somewhere, or if the trucking companies are behind, or, God forbid they get sick and have a bunch of people off work, it really impacts everybody.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I've seen that in the cosmetic industry too. Like, we've been slowed down by packaging, for example.
Sure.
You may have the product and you may have the ability to get it out, but if you don't have the package to put it in, and then getting to that communicated to the consumer that wants what they want when they want it. I mean, and people are better with COVID, but I mean, talk about trial by fire for you. And that's I mean, I could you count the amount of times you said I should just give up on this?
Oh, could I count it? No.
Yeah, no. What keeps you going?
You know what? We pray a lot that God has seen us through a lot of tough times, and that this is one that, because of the combination of my husband and myself, he is eternally my biggest cheerleader and my biggest support. And he does not believe that we are ever out, no matter what. And he absolutely is the driving force that says, we can get through this.
Yeah.
This is not a big deal. We are the type of people that will make this happen no matter what. So on the days where I'm so incredibly filled with doubt, that man is steadfast beyond belief.
I always say you have to have belief in order to be a business owner, and like steadfast belief in yourself. And then if you can't believe in yourself, you have to have somebody that will hold it for you.
Yeah.
And it's often a partner or a mentor or a friend or something like that, which is kind of the real foundation for you conferences is what we've noticed is a lot of women business owners. I mean, here you are, there's no like conference for people that run Amish connections to go to.
Nope.
There's no like Amish furniture store groups on Facebook, I'm sure.
If there are, I don't know where they're at. Let me
Nobody.
know if you see this.
Yeah, right. But like, I think the thing I noticed was, so, I was working in direct sales and I would go to the conferences and there's like thousands of people that do what I do. And we would all get together and like build relationships and, friendships and then like, oh, I'm not the only one that's struggling with sales. I'm not the only one that's having, this doubt in myself. And then all of a sudden the community can hold you up when you can't hold yourself up. And so when I think of like, when I got home and I was like, okay, this is what the entrepreneurial community is missing in my town. I think of people like you because what do you do when, your husbands are awesome. I mean, mostly, but, you know, it's always good to know you're not alone. And even though he supports you, he doesn't walk in your shoes every day.
Right.
So how, like, first of all, how did you decide to come to the first conference other than like I said to? Was there anything else? And then what keeps you going? And like what's like keeps you coming to the conference, I mean, and how has that all impacted you with your business?
Yeah. So the first conference that I attended, absolutely, I was drawn to you. I was following you on every platform as it was because I was just really engaged with not just the makeup, but just all of the, more of the entrepreneurial skills that I was seeing in you. That I thought like, okay, this is not my role in life, but maybe it could be. I never dreamed of being an entrepreneur, period. So that was kind of a weird thing for me to come into. But so your sister is married to the brother of one of my very good friends, who was my first, really good friend when we moved to Jessup, Lori Schutte, and she had attended. And I don't know if she went to the first one in the snowstorm, right? Okay. So
If she didn't, she went to the second one.
The second one at least. Yeah. Okay. So she had been and talked about it and said how great it was and how she's like, this is so empowering. And I feel like I am so much better prepared and equipped for X, Y, and Z. And I'm like, that sounds really exciting. Because coming through training with Hilton, there's conferences, there's more education coming at you all the time. There's plenty of resources, whether it be on the corporate level or through other hotels or within my own management company, or, I always had people to go to. And when we were going to be moving the business from Cedar Falls, Waterloo area down to the Cedar Rapids market, and every networking, every contact that I had built in the last 15 years was going to be gone.
Yeah.
I needed that community. I needed to meet people and to be able to network. So that was a huge draw for me. It was like, man, here's a bunch of people who cares what industry they're in, because some way or other we can help each other.
Right. Yeah, you do. Like I always tell people, like we get so focused on like finding our target market, and we do need to find our target market, and we do need to speak to our target market. And so instead of like, as as marketers, we say, okay, well, I have to just attract everybody. But really, when you start to attract your target market, if someone's not in your target market, you trigger them to think of people they know.
Yes.
That's in your target market. So that's why target market, how many times can I say target market? Now it sounds stupid. Holy cow. Anyway, the more that you can just, focus on that person, the more that other people will, even if they're not drawn, I mean, there's plenty of people that would never buy what you have to offer. Right. With any retail community, any retail job, or service or whatever you do. There's plenty of people that are just not interested. But the more that they get connected with you and they know what they're like, oh my gosh, hey, Susie, I know you've been looking for some new furniture and you're really right. fussy and you're so specific and you can't find what you're looking for. And you should really go check this chick out. She knows what she's doing. And I think that, I think we forget about that process, because we're just, looking for I want to meet her, and then that person buys my thing and I make money and then I go to the next. So it's been really good. I would love, from your perspective, since you've seen the conference through a lot of, I call it pain. Other people don't see it that way.
I know what you mean though. No, I totally know what you mean, because I will 100% say that the first conference that I went to, I was like, oh, that was nice. You know what I mean? Like I didn't feel blown away. I didn't feel super compelled to take any initiative with anything that I learned. It definitely was not something that I was totally blown away by. I mean, I was like, this is a great way to meet people. But I've definitely seen it evolve in terms of the different content that's being provided, and pulling away more value with the different speakers that you have been able to attract to this conference.
Yeah, that's crazy. What was your reaction? Because I was a little hesitant about adding stories of you, and you're a stories of you speaker for the March conference.
Yeah.
I was hesitant about it because I wasn't sure how it fit. But I'd gotten to the point where I needed help. I was really drowning in the conference. It was never going to grow the way it was going. And so one of the committee members was like, I really think doing something like this would be a good addition. And I was very nervous about it. I thought it was too wishy-washy. And I admit that because it's good to allow other people to prove you wrong sometimes.
Yeah.
So how has that addition of so if you're listening and you don't know what I'm talking about, during the conference, at the Stories of You is a 20-minute segment where somebody, you have to apply to speak, and they just tell a story about something that they've been through, they've overcome, they've learned, they've triumphed over. It's not really an opportunity to like 3 steps to improve your business, but like, just to connect with other people and to share your story. And it's a vulnerable thing to do. And people were clamoring to do this at this one. So how has that like feature of the conference impacted you to want to do it yourself?
So I think that, like you said, it's something that's a little more relatable or more personal, because they are just really sharing whether it's triumph or some kind of story that has occurred in their life. The educational pieces are so very valuable, but sometimes it is nice just to sit back and listen to somebody and go, oh my gosh, I can totally relate with that, because some things are really practical and you need that aspect, but it's nice for that personal realm. And I was thinking a lot about it when the topic came out of Vulnerably You, because there's such an impact where being vulnerable is your opportunity to serve other people. It's your opportunity to share with someone who is going through something that you feel very, like we talked about, you feel very alone in certain aspects. And I think that the Stories of You that I was ready to share, because I had so many things that I had started opening up about publicly on social media or within my circles of friends, that it started to impact other people. And I'm like, this is insane. Like if this is something that I'm doing and that I've learned, if I can help somebody else to jump ahead a step, or not have to go through this particular part of the struggle, why wouldn't you tell everybody?
Yeah. It's really hard. I mean, I don't know how you felt, but coming from a small town, I feel like there is, and I don't think people mean to be this way, but there's this feeling when you live in the middle of a small town of being very seen. Somebody's always looking out their window at you.
Yes.
And when you're seen, you're often judged. And I think we feel that way because we spend our time judging other people. And, I say that in a very human way, not in a crappy way, I guess. I don't know. But, and when you're in a small town, like, I mean, my husband's the mayor in my town, and if it snows, I do not go to the gas station because someone will complain to me about the streets.
Oh, for sure.
But because they just will. And I'm like, I really have nothing to do with the streets at all. I have no idea what they're doing. And I'm sorry, but like you are, when you go to the grocery store, you will see somebody, when you go to the park, you will likely see somebody, and it feels like people are often like, what does she think she's doing? So like that's been a real struggle for me as like, my small town girlness. How have you, I mean, I know reality is people are not that way, but like sharing that, like those growth moments in your life is very vulnerable. What will you be talking about briefly? Don't give them too much. On the stage. Can you give us like a 10,000 foot view of what kind of story you're telling?
Yeah, I think that my story mostly revolves around kind of restarting my life in 2018. That was the year that I left my career and jumped into the unknown professionally. And it was the first time that I started to focus on my health. I was very much overweight and was not doing anything to prioritize that. So it was definitely that launching point was that year.
Cool. The coolest thing about you, like I mean, you've had a really public weight loss journey. And that's always, what's interesting for me on that, I'm like a really good yo-yoer, very good at it. Learning some things about that right now. But anyway, digressing about, coming through a weight loss journey is part of this battle. And maintaining is another part of the battle.
Yes.
And you've taken it another step further to empower other people with that battle with the community that Dustin, who's been a speaker at you conferences. And I mean, first of all, I mean, the Jessup community just has been bombarding you conferences. I mean, I'm like, do we move it to Jessup now? Like, what do you but Dustin Bain has a community on Facebook and beyond that, really, called Inspired Living Nation, and you're now super involved with that too. And what I mean, and it's like all about fitness and working out and health and mental health and stuff. Like, how long have you been involved with that? And now you're like teaching some classes or something, right?
I know that still makes me like just it's shocking. So he has like a public free page and people will post different things for accountability, whether it's, workouts or, food or questions about equipment or whatever it might be. And so I did my first challenge was January of last year. So January 2020, I did a challenge, and all throughout my weight loss journey, I'd done everything by myself. I didn't join any programs. It wasn't like Weight Watchers or anything like that. And so I'd pretty much been on my own. And even though I was posting it publicly through my Facebook page, there definitely was a community component that was missing. And so it was really nice. Our friend Erin, who is very, very active through those pages as well, welcomed me into that to try it out, and it was really fun. It was really engaging. The support was incredible. So then I did a couple more challenges at the end of last year, and they then asked me to come on board to teach this January. Each challenge, they have live workouts every single week. And so there's usually like 4 to 5 live workouts a week. And so they asked me to come teach kettlebell class via Zoom. And that's really the exercise that I got really excited about. And it's what helped me to lose my weight, because it was something that I found really empowering. It was something that I absolutely love doing. And so I get to teach other people how to do it. And it has been really successful. People really enjoyed the workouts. And we led different groups throughout this last challenge. And so we were assigned like 10 or 11 people to be a little deeper involved with. And there were so many good things that came out of that, and being able to answer the questions of people who it's like, yeah, I've been there. I know what you're talking about when you're going to a birthday party and everybody wants you to eat all of this food and there's all these treats and you don't want to miss out, but you don't want to overindulge. And so how do you handle that? And so that's really been incredible and quite surreal, to be honest with you, to be teaching people things that I have only myself learned in the last couple of years.
But don't you see there's so much value in like just sharing the next thing that you've learned, and when you're it's impactful for you to share with other people. I mean, I know when I teach people things and they gain from it, like you're telling me you love your eyebrows, I'm like, wow, great, like that's amazing. I mean, it does make you feel really good when you can impact other people. But would you have ever imagined, even like when you started all of this, I want to kind of rephrase this a little bit. Not just that, would you imagine? No, I never would imagine. It's not really it. But like, even the fact that you went through a weight loss journey while starting a business is a big deal. Because I have eaten my feelings through a lot of business adventures.
Yeah.
And it's hard to be committed to yourself personally and to your business. Your business becomes yourself becomes your business. It's all uncomfortable. But could you have, like, in your wildest dreams known this was like a path you would go down?
No, no, not at all. And I tell people all the time, like I look at the people like Aaron who are super committed to their daily workouts and really, really have like the science down of everything that they eat and the movement that they do throughout the week. And they work with coaches and all this. And I'm like, man, you guys are the real rock stars. Like you've been doing this forever. You just, this is part of your life. And for me, it just was never anything that I had ever focused on. It wasn't anything that ever was a priority that was taught to me, when I was growing up. And so my biggest thing is like, wow, if I had stayed in that same state of mind, professionally, physically, mentally, my kids would be missing out on the lessons. So, I mean, not just the community impact or the reach through friends and family on Facebook, but my kids' lives could be a lot different. So it blows my mind how different things could be now had it not all jumped off in 2018.
Yeah. That's, I've been saying to myself lately because, we all get into funks in life, and the last 6 months have been an absolute whirlwind in my world. And somebody said something, I don't even know who said it, and I wish I did because I would credit the person. But I was listening to a podcast or watching a live, I don't know, something I was doing, and they said, if you knew what was on the other side of your effort, like getting to a place of being successful in something, you would run. You would run to do it. Like you would not sit in the hesitation. You would not wonder what if. You would not feel like and even though in 2018 you just knew there had to be a change, you could not, like, we all think we can just map it out, the process. So you could never have mapped this process out. But do you find yourself able to dream bigger when it comes to your goals and your physical, mental, business goals? Like, do you find yourself able to dream bigger now?
Oh, for sure. For sure. Because once you've seen what you're capable of, if you've been someone like me who is, I doubt myself all the time. And so if you really feel like, that's not for you, that's, other people do those things or other people are capable of those things. That's just not how you were built or raised or however you want to look at it. So once you come out on the other side and go, holy crap, I can't believe what has happened. It does. It definitely allows you to open yourself up to other opportunities and to dream bigger and to feel like, you know what, if I could have looked at myself 2 years ago and said, this is coming, maybe things would have gone a little differently, and I don't care. I'm here. So it doesn't even matter how things went. But nothing is perfect and you can't lay it all out. So you just have to go with it and say, you know what, I'm going to give it all I got. And if it doesn't work, then we're going to try something else.
Yeah, it's true. And I mean, did you ask yourself, like, when they first asked you to teach fitness classes, did you go through that? Like, I that's not me.
Yeah, because for sure I was like, I watch people on YouTube and I do what they do. Like I'm not an instructor. I don't know the proper names for things. I don't know, like, when it comes to certain exercises or muscles or how to tell you to do this, that, or the other to make sure you don't injure yourself. Like, I'm like, man, this could really go south. This could really be bad. But I told Dustin, I'm like, my initial response is like, how is this me? How could I possibly be somebody? Because people are paying him for these challenges.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm like, but the fact that he asked, the fact that he and his wife believed in me after just engaging with me through the challenges and whatnot, if they believed in me to do it, I sure as hell should.
Yeah.
And if I was
holding
scared,
that belief
right.
for you. Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, sometimes and for those that don't know, Dustin's a chiropractor. He knows his things about how bodies work.
Right.
Right.
And I told him, I said, the fact that I am scared to death to do this, to formulate a workout, to show other people how to do it, to, God forbid, I pass out because I can't talk and exercise at the same time. Like, what, all of those fears, I'm like, yep, I need to do it. Mm-hmm. I absolutely 100% need to.
Did you go after scary things 2 years ago?
No.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah,
also
so it changes that. Like suddenly your mind shift. Your mind shift changes from like, that's not for me, I can't do it, that's scary, to that's scary, so now I know I need to do it. And that is a real, that's real life. I mean, sometimes people challenge me and I'm like, damn it, like I don't want to, but you just told me I can't.
Yep.
And that's really motivating. And you know, at the end of our lives, like what is left at the end of our lives. And I use the word legacy a lot. And it's just like you use the word heirloom with your furniture. It's what's left at the end of your life. How did you leave people? How did you impact them? How did you empower them to go do something else? And to me, that always sounded like such horseshit. Like I was like, why do I care so much about what other people go and do in the world? But when you're impacted by somebody else's kindness, and then you understand what that ripple effect is important. And I'm glad I wasn't, you know, on my deathbed before I figured that out, frankly. So
Well, and
it's
that's
good.
what I said. I'm like, you know, looking back at things and going, how far do you go and you say, what is it that I've actually done with my life? What is it that I'm teaching my kids? What kind of imprint have I left on this earth? You know, we teach our kids like God gives everybody specific talents, and you are intended to fully share them. And you will find those talents in different ways throughout your life, and you need to share them. You don't need to be ashamed of them. You don't need to think, you know, this isn't for everyone, so I'm just gonna, you know, not show up for it. No, God put that in you, and it is your responsibility, your obligation, and your gift to give.
Yeah. Yeah. It really is. And it's really cool to see all these people come together with the conference. And we were thrilled to see your application come through. I mean, you know, part of the experience of you conferences is to put people on the stage that may not have been able to find one or fit into one. And I'm not saying that you would never fit into a stage. It's not the point, but like to give you the opportunity to step onto it beforehand. And when I had Dustin on my podcast, I think it was obviously it was last year sometime. He said, you know, I love what you're doing, because if you can't find your stage, then build your own.
Yeah.
And, you know, that kind of goes with a lot of things. If you can't find your platform, build your own. If you can't find your people, you know, if you can't find the community that you fit into, build your own. And that was really empowering to me. And I've held on to that because I was so proud. Like, you're right. I did build a stage. And where the stage will go and what happens to you next after being empowered on that stage, and the people that you connect with because they connected with you. And then, you know, that ripple effect, you can imagine it goes forever. So thank you for being a part of this story and a part of that. And I mean, I know they all get better, all kind of, you know, everyone's better than the last. But we're truly blown away by the success of this conference and the people that are coming and the people that are speaking, and the commitment. And it's, I mean, as you know, we already sold out of in-person tickets. Clearly we couldn't have 1 million of them, but because of COVID and things, but now it just, I don't know, that it's all because the community was built, you know, everybody kept showing up. So thank you for doing that, even though I know which one you first went to, and that is my least favorite one.
Okay.
I was
growing pains.
Yeah, I was trying to control too much then.
Oh.
Yep. I was far too controlling, and pushed all help I ever had out of my way.
But
And
that's hard because you start something and you kind of have a vision for where you think it needs to go, and it's hard to allow other ideas to come in because you're like, I think that's going to change it, and that's not what I want. But then you start to develop that listening ear for what the attendees are needing, and so maybe those people were, you know, coming in and giving those opinions, and it's evolved, and that evolution can be scary, but it definitely is necessary because we don't know all the things, right? I mean, we try, but
you know, I know everything, just ask me.
Oh,
It is
it's
the
beautiful to see
whole
the growth.
What's that?
It's beautiful to see the growth. It's wonderful because that tells a story too. You know, maybe somebody attended a while back and hasn't and decided not to return, but maybe now seeing all of the momentum and like you said, the amazing lineup, the great speakers, and the stories of you concept, and maybe somebody will come back to it and go, oh my gosh, look what they've done, and that's a beautiful story.
Yeah, it really all is. And yeah, I can't wait till people see what we have going on for this year. Some really big changes, some necessary changes, and some really big announcements, and just pouring into our community and keeping it strong and keeping people accountable to one another. Like, and when I say that, I don't mean like checking in with you every month and making sure I reach my goals, but literally just having the opportunity to show up with people hold you accountable, I think.
Nice.
Don't you? Like when you know
Yes.
somebody's going to be there, you'll be like, oh, like when your class is coming to your Zoom, I
Yeah.
mean, like you can't skip it. They're gonna.
Right. But that procrastination, like we'll all say, I'll do it tomorrow because today this is what needs to be done. And so you'll put it off forever. And then it is no longer a priority because you're the only one that you're accountable to. So
Yeah.
I like the idea of that.
Yeah, it's cool. So anyway, I can't wait for you to see. So much is gonna, like, if I'm just saying, make sure you have your camera all day ready to roll. That's all you need to make sure you do.
You got it.
And there'll be, I hear from the pipe and drape designer that something about crystals. So.
Ooh, fancy.
Yeah,
Love
right?
it.
All right. Well, I want to thank you so much for being on and sharing a piece of who you are and what you do. And Cedar Rapids is very lucky to have you. I'm sure the growing pains were tough coming here, and it's far away. You're in Jessup. It's what, 50-minute drive at least.
Yeah.
To where you work. So it's, we're very lucky to have you in Cedar Rapids, and we're glad that we got to snag you away from Cedar Rapids. All right. Well, we'll say goodbye for now anyway.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.